Hello everyone. In previous classes, we have discussed about measurement of precipitation using rain gauges, radar, and satellite, etc. And different methods provides the data at a different scale. Like rain gauge provides data at a point, the radar provides data for a particular areal extent, and satellites provide data at the global scale. And we also discussed about the rain gauge data is more reliable than the satellite and the radar data. The radar and satellite data having some uncertainties. So generally in hydrological studies, rain gauge data is preferred. In hydrological studies, we consider a certain area and यदि एक certain area में एक ही rain gauge है तो इससे क्या होगा इन दैट एरिया जो रेनफॉल है वो यूनिफॉर्म होगी मीन्स इफ इन अ बेसिन we provide rainfall data for only one station so the rainfall throughout the basin will be uniform so ये एक तरह का अप्रोक्सीमेशन हुआ तो इस अप्रोक्सीमेशन वाले गैप को फुलफिल करने के लिए अनसर्टेनिटीज को रिड्यूस करने के लिए डेंसिटी ऑफ रेनगेजेस का अप्रोप्रिएट होना या एडिक्वेट रेनगेज स्टेशन होना इम्पोर्टेंट होता है सो द एजेंसीज लाइक वर्ल्ड मेट्रोलॉजिकल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड इंडियन स्टैंडर्ड suggested the rain-gauge density based on topography with consideration of economy and all. So in the rain-gauge density, the main component which are considered are the economic consideration and topography and accessibility. So these three are the main component that has to be considered in the drainage network design. And WMO suggested the different rain gauge network based on topography are for the flat region. The ideal condition is one station for the 600 to 900 kilometers, while acceptable is one station for 900 to 300 kilometers. For the mountainous region of temperate, Mediterranean, and the tropical zone, one station for 100 to 250 kilometers are required, which is ideal. However, acceptable is one station for 25 to 1000 square kilometers. In arid and polar regions, the one station is sufficient for 1500 to 10,000 square kilometers. In Indian standard or for the Indian condition, there are two specifications based on the standard IS 4987 1968 and IS 4987 1994. These are for the flat region, one station for 520 square kilometers according to 1968, while in 1994 it's one station for 500 square kilometers. The region which have average elevation equals to 1000 meters requires one station for 260 to 390 square kilometers, while as per Indian standard 1994, one station is required for 250 to 400 square kilometers in the area which have average elevation 1000 meters. In mountainous area or the hilly area with heavy rainfall requires one station for 130 kilometers square kilometers, and as per the 1994 the one station is required in hilly areas for the 150 square kilometers. So ये था rain gauge density. Now of rain gauge किस तरह से estimate किया जाता है. So to estimate the adequacy of rain gauge, there are mainly two components are considered. The first one is the coefficient of variation and another one is the epsilon, which is allowable degree of error in the estimate of mean rainfall. So N is the optimal number of rain gauges or the rain gauges required for the particular area. So coefficient of variation can be determined by the formula coefficient of variation is equals to 100 into standard deviation divided by mean rainfall. And standard deviation can be calculated by the formula. Here Pi is the precipitation of a particular station. P bar is the mean precipitation for considering the average of all the stations from 1 to M. Here the number of stations 1 to M upon M minus 1. And mean precipitation is the average precipitation of the earth station. The allowable error is 10%. We can understand the requirement of rain gauges based on coefficient of variation also. If the coefficient of variation is less than 20%, then there is no need of rain gauges or extra rain gauges. While if the coefficient of variation is greater than 20%, then there is requirement of additional rain gauges. So we can understand the requirement of rain gauges in a particular area based on the coefficient of variation. And what is saturated network? Saturated network means जब आपके number of rain gauges हैं वो adequate हैं एंड उसमें एक्स्ट्रा रेनगेजेस ऐड करने पर भी जो रीडिंग्स है इस या रेनफॉल डेटा है इसमें कुछ सिग्निफिकेंट चेंजेस नहीं आते हैं इस रेनगेज नेटवर्क को सैचुरेटेड नेटवर्क कहा जाता है। अब जो इंडिया में नंबर ऑफ रेनगेजेस हैं वो है 1 रेनगेज पर 500 square kilometers. While in other countries, the one rain gauge is provided for the 100 square kilometers. Israel has maximum rain gauge density, which is 37 rain gauges for every 1000 square kilometers. While in India, 16 rain gauges are provided for the 1000 square kilometers. And in the rain gauge network, 10% of the rain gauges must be self-recording type rain gauges. So that is all about the rain gauge network or rain gauge density and the adequacy of the rain gauge. So thank you so much.